Come on. I believe in you. Just do the thing. You are streaming there. Up, up. And levels seem to be okay there, though I'm going to close the window. All right. Good evening, guys and gals. Now I got to do the tweet thing again. Spam all the channels. That one. Come on, mouse. That one, that one. That one, that one, that one. That one, that one. Copy that. Boop. Hope we're not dropping too bad on YouTube. 360. Yeah, okay. All right. All right. Now that we've done all the spamming, like I'm a professional stream guy, you know, like you do, like all the kids want to be these days. I still got to finish getting the graphs all together because once again, it's another week and I'm bad again. Damn that real life job, you know? Ooh, that's good news to have. That's not that bad. Maybe 2x what I wanted, but not that bad. Where are we? The graphs. Where are my graphs? There are my graphs. Thankfully, a calmer week across the space lanes. Except for a little bit of drama here and there. Oops. That button. That button. Been messing with Discord as we make some preparations ahead of Vegas. Have some plans for the show in the new year, and Discord is part of that plan. I still like the Slack and everything, but things will be happening, trademark, more news to come when it comes. And I will open up invites when again, there'll be blogs. There's always blogs, man. You guys know how much I like writing blogs. Oops, isogen. Trying to get through a dev blog at work. Trying to do it like 3 different flavors. It's really pissing me off because I don't know how to make the super boring thing I spent a whole bunch of time on at work interesting enough to be compelling enough to actually make a blog about, even though people should know because it's a useful tool. It's just not It's boring. It's not sexy. There's no graphs. No graphs, no sexy. Let's see. So that's Noxium, Zydrine. Hope everyone else out there in internet land is doing okay. Fuck. Stupid thing. Can I not go to the end of the show? That would be cool. We're doing Zydrine. Zydrine. Yeah, I think we're just going to live with the hiccups because Comcast is changing their rules and I'm not sure what to do about it yet. Megasite. Megasite. So Cirruscan is asking about my comments on Megasite. I made those 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm surprised that, like, I posted it to Reddit and just nobody seemed to have caught my, like, this is interesting. Somebody might have been cheating thing, but maybe nobody gives a shit. Everyone lost their minds when there was the Cap News leaks last year. And that was a very successful blog that I wrote because our tools actually detected the fraud. But, okay. We're going to turn down the quality slightly on YouTube. Down to, let's go, 5,000. Okay. So somebody probably spilled the beans, but then all of a sudden it became way more interesting to talk about casinos. And oh God, am I tired of talking about casinos? And I'm disappointed in you fans of the show. I saw on Reddit today that there was a post about somebody wanting information about economic reporting in Eve, and I had to mention myself. I mean, come on. I'm very sad. I'm disappointed. I'm calling all your parents. It's fine. Everything's fine. They also didn't mention Markets for Risk either, or DeLone Wolf, so I shouldn't feel bad. But, like, guy comes in. He's like, hey, I want to know about real-life Eve Market stuff. And I had to do the dumb self-promotion thing, like, hours after it would have been a good idea. Because I didn't get it until nearly the end of my day. Be like, yeah, and then there's Prosper. We're doing it for like 2 years, a little over. It's fine. Everything's fine. We're fine. Think I've been doing this 2 years? Yeah, geez. Too long. I really should keep better track of these things so I can be like, anniversary show, here, have some Plex. Like I was a real streamer or something. I'm so bad at this. Oh, jeez. The moon markets are so boring. Neodymium and platinum are kind of interesting. Do I care? Let's double check. It's been a weird week. I'm having ennui, you know, if I may be so pretentious. Platinum is not a 32. Technetium is kind of interesting. We should talk about those. Yeah, I didn't even get offered Casino-esque. That's how bad I am. Nobody wants... Well, I tried... So the story of trying to fund Eve Prosper is kind of funny. Because I started up the show, and before I hit... episode 10, I shopped it around to the Crossing Zebras and the TMCs and all those places. Like, hey, I'm gonna do this like weekly, basically, and you know, you could be. You want credentials as knowing the economy stuff. You should do it, and they're like, yeah, we don't really want it, or we want to give you just no money for it. And I'm like, well, you know, it is a buttload of work, so I'd rather own it outright and get nothing than get peanuts and have to like brand the living shit out of it. So I didn't really try to refund it. Like I've tried a couple of times in the past to be like, yep, we're at like 50 episodes. This thing's a thing. I'm on the 07 show. And they're like, what do you want for it? I'm like, Plex a month. And they're like, get bent. And which is a fucking steal in my opinion, but whatever. Small ANSI shield repairs. We're seeing a... Yeah, that's actually interesting. But we're going to put that in this section. And I need to make sure that I have the notes for it. So, yeah. Now, if I can just get through the rest of the graphs this week, we can... I can actually do what needs doing. Yeah, and like, I know I'm an asshole, right? Like, I charge out the nose for doing the work, even though when you really put dollars to hours, it's peanuts. Let's see, so... Because, like... I get periodically asked to write things for aggregators, and I usually tell them I'm too fucking busy, go away, and then they insist and they're like, we'll pay you and it's good exposure, and I'm like, exposure. Wow, no divergent flags this week. That's fucking weird. Oh, no, there's one. And I'm like, okay, you know, you want me to write it, it'll be a Plex. And like, we don't pay our guys a Plex. I'm like, then go to your guys who do the graphs and have the data and can turn it around in the, you know, the less than a week you want it out on, because it used to take me 6 weeks to write these things. And, I mean, go to the other guy who can do quant level graphs, and they're like, well, there is another guy. And I'm like, then it's a Plex. And then we fight about it, and they tell me I'm an asshole, and they're probably right. And we go our separate ways. There's nothing wrong with saying no. So it's not like I take it personally. But if you want my time, I mean, I've got a very busy job, and I've got a plate already full of my own projects. So if you want me to work on yours, like, pony up. And yeah, I'm an asshole. I am. I tell the big mean people what they don't want to hear. And then I always laugh when you get exposure. You'll do it for exposure thing, especially with this show, because I'm like, why do I need exposure? I have an 07 segment. Like, how is your audience who am I not reaching through who am I not reaching through the 07 show that your blog is? I'll absolutely participate in the whole for exposure if it'll actually get me anything. Like, I've done an interview here and there with IRL media, even though it never comes out the way I want it to. I talk all this stuff about how this is a microcosm and we can do a bunch of stuff, and the guy gets on and then you can do experiments on the cheap and it doesn't cost like any money to do it. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I should just be more careful about what I say. This is what we get for talking to the media and not being really careful. So I don't, and I've said it 100 times, is that I don't mind working with people. I don't mind being a partner if I'm interested in your project. I don't like working. I like working with people. I don't like working for people. There's nothing that I need in Eve. Like, let's be honest, man. Like, okay, if they come out with pink skins for Titans, then I'll need a Titan. And that's the only thing I need, that I have left that I need. Then I will suck your internet dick for that, just so I can have my pretty pink Titan. But that's about it. Like, I don't need a Citadel, and if I wanted a Citadel, I know who to call. I'd go work with the what are they? The Eve Mogul guys. Jeez, I am so slow today. Because they're trying to run a bunch of Citadels to make new things. So yeah, wow, there's nothing worth flagging this week. Holy shit. That's depressing. What the crap? Oh, and I don't think we got Quaff. No, yeah, we did. Okay, good. Because we're definitely going to want to talk about Quaff after that one. There we go. Like, no ships flagged this week? Are you, like, this is going to be a hard show. Yeah, oh, Seika, you're right. So, God, I don't even know how to... I think I know how to pull it. Hold on. We can do this for the show. We might run a little bit late trying to get the poll down, but we can totally do it. If I can find the... Like, there's plenty of cool projects, and I've done my fair share of working too hard at Eve stuff. I get it. I'm not completely above it. But, man, I do not have time like I used to. What was I looking up? We were looking up... Fleet drone AI. we need anything else in the group? And like, so the book I just got through, thanks to Audible, that's the sponsorship I should go find, is On Writing by Stephen King. And I mean, he has a good point in there about like, you don't do the writing for the money, and that's totally the truth. It was that you do it because you have to. Like, you'll go insane if you don't. And like, I built my brand writing for TMC. I like them just fine. It's just that, like, I've got shit to do. I don't need. Come on, fuck you, thing. Okay. Let me drop it. Let's add the drone stuff in. So yeah, I encourage anybody who can get a writing spot, who doesn't already have a blog, who doesn't have an audience, and wants to learn the trade. I mean, go write for Crossing Zebras or TMC. The crews are good. There's a lot of really smart people there. I actually respect most of those guys a lot, except for maybe Bob Mon and how much RMT dick he's sucking. But like, by and large, it's not a bad deal, and getting a little bit of money for the work isn't terrible. It's just that I write a very specific brand of content. It takes a lot of work to do it. There's a lot of behind the scenes work. I mean, I have to run the scripts on Wednesday night, and they take a little over an hour to run. I do development, and I've been keeping up to about 10 hours a week of development. Not that that's showing up here on the show yet, but you know, we're on the air for a little over 2 hours. And the prep before the show, if I actually do it, is an hour there. And like, so this is not an easy thing to do. And if you divide the amount of hours I'm spending every month by the Patreon money that's coming in, like, I'm an idiot. If we're doing it, if we're measuring it that way, I'm a fool. But I do it because I have to, not because like, I enjoy, I appreciate the Patreon thing. Like, that does help me keep going in some of the darker nights. But it's like, if I were just doing it for the money, I would just work that much harder at work, because yeah, I would, there are things I could be making thousands of dollars at, selling to work, that I instead come home and hack on stuff that's dumb because I want to learn new things. So, but yeah, that's my upper middle class white rant of the day. And I'm actually, to be completely honest, I'm interested. Actually, the Patreon is absolutely helps me do all the things that go with the show, that like paying for licenses and putting up all the studio stuff and getting the nice mic and the nice camera. That helps pay off the wife bribes. So that's why I appreciate it. But yeah, it's yeah. Words. I was thinking thing. Oh yeah. So while we wait for my last set of graphs to generate, the interesting. I think it's going to be interesting in the upcoming months, because there's sort of a general journalism problem, and Eve is just now in the center of it. Is that by closing down the casinos and turning off that income stream, legit or not, it there's trillions of ISK that's just kind of evaporated from sponsorship. It's going to be hard for your aggregators like TMC and Crossing Zebras and all the others to pay their writers their current rates. And this would be, I wouldn't be as catastrophically worried about it if we had a very healthy blog pack, but over the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen a real drying out of the blog pack as people who used to blog a lot sort of fall out of it. You watch, Jester Trek shut down, and we haven't seen much from Lowsec Kyle, and we haven't seen Life in Lowsec, and the other market blogs have been shutting down. We haven't seen K162 Space in months. Marcus Frisk posts once a month. The people who are still doing it pretty reliably, like even Sandsider and Spaceships, which was like 3 or 4 times a week, has basically gone completely dark, and there just haven't been the blogs to stand up for it, because blogging isn't the sort of keen thing it used to be. It's much easier to just turn on a stream and run capture card and chat at people. But that isn't the same content, right? Like the people who tune into this show, whether just the show or watch the entire VOD in the background, are absorbing a very low density information stream, right? Whereas a blog lets you get something that's archivable and searchable, and it's easier to comment on, and it's easier to track some of the meta stuff if you're a real fan. Like, it gives you more content to chew on academically, but like, like the places we went to for those, the places that were producing that content on at any reasonable clip were your Crossing Zebras, your TMC, and your Eve News 24. So I'll be interested to see. This is why the homework last week was go reach out to your favorite streamers and content makers, because like Jester Trek, Ripper Teg pointed out, like he would come in at Christmas time and shake the cup NPR style, and he'd bring in maybe a few billion, but he'd only get it once a year, and so you're talking about, let's say, maybe bringing in 10 billion a year, if we're being really generous, and generating 4 blogs a week, I think was his normal pace. On top of his CSM duties, on top of all the other work he did, it really kind of rings hollow for, like, why am I doing this on the cold days where you're like, I don't even want to write a freaking blog. Like, we don't do it for the money. It's just that the money is the money helps you get through the cold nights. It helps you get through the I don't even want to get out. I don't want to get out of bed days. So please don't send me ISK. I won't use it. It's not useful to me. But like, go find your favorite streamer, your favorite blogger, and send something their way. Even 100 million ISK flashing in the thing with a little like thank you email would mean the world. And let's be honest here, a billion ISK isn't really that expensive, especially if you're following my sage trading advice that totally works every time. So yeah, I don't know how the popular streamers do these days. I would hope that through all the other streams out there that there are ways to get there. I just feel it uniquely as like Eve Online is such a niche that it doesn't even show up on the top games on Twitch ever. But then you cut the niche even further to people who love graph porn, and like there are only so many weirdos like us. There just aren't that many. So, um, I love the audience. I love the stream. It's fun to do this, and it's always interesting to look into it. It's just like if I wanted to make Twitch partner, like there's no freaking way. It's just no way. The gulf between the moderate success we have here and the seriously and like Twitch partner levels is an order of magnitude. So yeah, I'm still waiting for graphs to render, so we may start a few minutes late. I need the new drone poop, as Seika is saying. Oh God, you don't want me streaming market PvP. I'm so far out of practice that I would just go broke and it would be embarrassing. Actually, no. I have one market under my belt that I think I could probably do, but oh God, I'd lose a whole day to it. The last time I did market arbitrage, I had a reasonably good plan. It only took about 30 minutes a day, but you had to log in every day to do it. And you watched the market margin spreads, and you watched the volumes, and you basically like made bets on what tomorrow would be, or what the week would be, and you would load up freighters back and forth from JITA to the other hubs, and it actually turned a reasonable profit. I was surprised. Like my goal, my dumb goal was to do is that I would love to see the markets in Dodixie and Amar increase their net trade by about 2x, so that not so much that we're killing JITA, but that we're growing the other markets. And I think that that's possible, especially for Amar, less so for Dodixie. And Amar can do it because of wormholes. So I was like, oh, I'll do this thing. And I was moving materials around thinking that like if I could keep the industrialists supplied, that they didn't have to send a freighter all the way to JITA, and they'd save themselves like half the freighter costs if they just bought it from me, and we'd all make a bunch of money. And it worked reasonably well. I made some amazing margins, but I just couldn't keep up the work. So let's see. We need... Oh, and I need ZKB. ZKB. Like, those are the last... I gotta make sure I walk through these graphs. Stratios, Proteus. Let's talk about Proteuses. Oh wow, all of the... That's interesting. Ooh, that's a good buy. Okay, I'm glad I looked at those graphs, because I would have felt like a jerk if I'd seen them after the show. Carriel. Ooh. Ooh. Why didn't that flag? Oh my god. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Gila. Holy crap. And we're not going to talk about that. Okay. Then the last one is Elite Drone AI. going to go up here. Oops. Nope, not that graph. Wrong graph. Super exciting work here. With all of my, with all my axes washed out. Fucking hell. Hate when that happens. Okay. Okay. I think we actually have a show. I need the new ZKB numbers. That's the last piece. ZKB. Ships. I mean, I hear you. It's not a bad idea to do market PvP. It's just a bad idea for me because I cannot commit the kind of time. And I'm not as good at it as I should be. I'm a tools guy. I am a process guy. I am not like, go watch Rivra. She does that stuff way, like, 10 times better than I ever could. But now we have a show, and we're going to press that button, and we're going to press that button, and we're going to press that button, and we're going to close the window. Oh God, please don't. Okay. Good evening, and welcome to yet another episode of the Eve Prosper Market Show. I'm your host, Lockefox, and I'm here with the latest market news from EVE Online for the latest week. So let's get started where we always do, very quickly, looking at the beautiful Jita Undock. So quick run over of the news of the week. At least Prosper side is one, if you want to follow the show. If you want to follow the show, all you got to remember is Eve Prosper. That'll get you to Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and our blog. We're live every Friday, 0300 Eve time. That will change after the time change in 2 weeks. I don't know exactly to what. I believe we're moving to 0100 to not change times, but I will keep things posted on the Twitter if you guys have any questions there. If you want to get in touch with me, I do love talking with you guys. The best place to do so is on the Tweetfleet Slack. Information on how to join is down in the doobly-doo below. We're in the Prosper channel, and there's a whole bunch of other great channels on there like DevFleet and SCC Lounge and just all the interest you want to know. There's thousands of space nerds on there. It's a great place to be. Next, piece of show news is that if you want to support us, the very best way to do so is through our Patreon at patreon.com/EveProsper. Even $1 goes a very long way here. It keeps the show on the air. It keeps it ad-free. It keeps us back every week. Keeps our bills paid, lights on, keeps the databases running. And to our patrons, I always have to say thank you. It means the world. If you can't give, we understand. That's completely okay. Just tell all your friends about Eve Prosper. We're here, like I said, every week, every Friday, game time, every Friday in game time, Thursday night US time. And then very last, we have Eve Vegas next week. And I owe you guys some tweets about it, but I'm planning to do a Prosper meet and greet Sunday morning, probably in the hotel, in one of the restaurants in the hotel. Do a Sunday 8 a.m. Hangover cure kind of breakfast. If you want to come chat graphs, chat market stuff, I will be at the Eve Eve Vegas. I would love to come talk with each and every one of you. It is always great to meet fans. I got to say it's surreal, but it is a delight. And if you're going, we can totally high five. Well, maybe not high five because nobody wants SARS, but I'll be there. Blake Armitage of K162 Space will be there. A whole bunch of space nerds will be there. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to the whole thing. So with that, we're going to go ahead and end that segment of the show and move right into the meat of the matter and start with some news. First big piece of news is that I cannot seem to align things, and this guy's face is over-covered because I'm a professional, and I am good at PowerPoint. But one of the big pieces of news this week was the new player experience revamp. We heard a whole bunch of this from, I want to say, CCP Phantom back at FanFest. People have been falling over themselves in love with this new dev, and the new dev blog is out, and the content looks good, and the response is actually pretty good. We will have to see once things drop, but it should be on CC right now if you wanted to see what's going on. The content looks great. I have not had a chance to run through it myself, so I would love to have more opinions. The interesting market piece for you skill traders is that the new player experience is being expanded to include special injectors just for noobs. I think if you have less than 900,000 skill points, they're useful, something in that range. And there's some wheeling and dealing behind the scenes on whether these will be RMTable, and I don't know if they strictly are. Like, you could do the same thing with the current attribute boosters that you can get through some of the new player offers that are out there today. But selling them is so much of a pain, and they're only useful in very specific circumstances. So they're a nice to have, and they might. I think the point is to prime the pump to use big boy injectors, but we'll see if what that conversion rate actually looks like. So we'll be keeping a close eye on those markets. Next, one of my favorite events of the year is Back Bloody Harvest. And the interesting item of note here in the Bloody Harvest is actually two of them, and I haven't validated the second one. So first one is the attribute enhancers. These are amazing. They're good for 2 days if you have Biology 5. They are useful for anybody at any skill level. They amp all of your, I believe they amp all of your attributes a couple of points. I want to say 2 points, 3 points, like it's a free plus 2 or 3 implant. And they survive potting is the neat little piece of trivia that some people may not know. Attribute boosters like that, things that go in that slot 4, can survive potting, but cannot survive jump cloning. So, it's plus 10 points. Cool. But thank you, Eloquent Bee, in the chat. The words. I'm always glad to see these. They're good. They're good to stock up. But the thing is that they do have a drop dead date. So don't think that you can just hoard 100 of these things and live off of them. There will be a drop dead date. So make hay while the sun shines. The second thing, and I haven't had a chance to check this out, but we'll see it by the end of the show, is Quaff Zero should be coming back into supply, and this has been a great roller coaster to ride for speculation. As an event pumps out more of these things, the price tanks, and it's still a great useful booster. There's no drawbacks. It adds speed and lock speed. It's a great booster to have in stock. And as soon as the event is over, the prices climb right up, and you can get cashed out about 2 or 3 days after the things close. So we'll be looking into that over the next couple of weeks as the Bloody Harvest runs its course. But with that, I know why you guys are all here. We're here to talk about Plex. Holy crap. We're getting really close to 1.2 billion. So first, I have to eat my serving of crow like I did last week. I had said with the the casinos closing, that I had expected a run on Plex that would cause the price to crash as casinos liquidated their Plex stockpiles to meet the demands of their customers. And a couple of things screwed up that prediction. One is that I Want ISK, the I Want ISK ban basically removed the liability for those guys to have to pay back. So, and they get the out of saying that GUR CCP took all of your money. I'm sorry, bro. So that's step one. So a big liability did not have to get paid. And then the second is that EveBet was running a casino far more legitimately than any real life casino ever has been run in the history of casinos. Usually what happens is that you promise people a whole bunch of ISK in the, you've totally won all of this money. Look at that UI thing in the corner. It says you have billions in the bank. You know what you should do? You should come to the table for one more game so that we can win it back. And this would allow you to run leverage on that particular number. But it looks like the guys at EveBet were just running off of the house take and actually had the cash to cover. So this means when you're looking at Plex is that as that cash leaves the casino and gets into regular player hands, more of that is going to get converted straight into Plex. We're going to skip right past, keeping it in cash, and we're going to go pick up some Plex right off the market, and this windfall will go right into the bank. And that I didn't expect. So mea culpa, my bad. I didn't call it right. As we zoom out and look at the last year in Plex, right now we are at an unstable climb as we go towards 1.2. So the thing that we usually talk about is that this RSI cross here, as we crossed over the 1.15 billion mark, would mean that we are in an unstably high position. But Plex, as you can see, doesn't really turn around quickly. It does eventually, but it kind of just does what it wants. So if you're holding Plex, if you're looking for cash, now is a great time to sell, because I think we're going to hit 1.2, bounce back down to 1.15, 1.16. But if you don't need the cash in the next 30 days, I would hold your Plex. I'm hoping that I'm sort of gunning for a 1.35 peak before Black Friday, and I'm having the hardest time trying to draw a forecast for the actual Ascension event. So I would rather, if I were holding Plex as a value store, I would hold on to it unless I absolutely positively needed the cash. Zooming into the actual supplies, we can see what's really going on under the hood is that, again, we're seeing all of the Plex get bought up off of the market, and we're seeing a real thin supply available in JITA, at least. And as we see this slump in volume is the really troubling thing. So what this says right now is that there's only 400 units of Plex available right now, which is insane. It is incredible. If we go back a couple of slides, we know that they sell thousands of these things a day, and we only have 400 handy at sell time. So this is going to cause the price to get a little bit crazy. Supplies getting this restricted has me thinking that we might see a Plex sale, but around Eve Vegas, I kind of expect the devs to be too drunk to actually press the buttons. We may see a sale right ahead of Ascension, but if we have to wait 2 more weeks for a sale to show up, that is not going to save us, and we're going to go colliding into 1.35 billion in the next couple of weeks. Looking at, again, a poorly aligned graph because I am a professional. Looking at the other RMT tokens, things like multiple pilot training certificates and skill extractors. Again, we've been seeing the extractors leading Plex, even though the prices should be at parity. This is a little bit more than expected, especially in the last week or so. Again, if you're buying in, the money is best on buying extractors rather than buying Plex. But the fact that it's leading so well against Plex is a little bit strange, but not that strange. We've been seeing it rather periodically all fall, so that's where we are. Moving into the injector market, again, with the Plex spike, we're seeing us break into parity again. If you're a speculator, this might be good news because it means that there's probably some cheap injectors to go buy up, especially if you're playing the buy orders in Citadels. We've seen it every time that we've come across this parity line that the price of injectors rise as the price of Plex falls. I don't know if we're going to... It's a risky bet right now, in my opinion. I think that things are going to get better. Things are going to get worse before they get better. And again, this is another market that gets really hazy past Ascension because even though zombies become free, the base clones required to farm become free after a few months of loading them up. The demand from free-to-play players to accelerate their training, could that counteract it? It's really hard to tell you exactly where we're going to be with that. So I'm not sure exactly where to put it. I have a positive outlook for skill injectors and Plex in the upcoming months, but it's not a very strong positive opinion. And last, looking at prices, again, if we look at just this one, we can see the prices are staying relatively stable, but against cost, which is what we're looking at here, I think we're going to see the price spike up a little bit before it goes back down again. And holy cow, it's Caleb. Hey, Caleb Aranya. It's butt o'clock there. You should really go back to bed. Moving on to market indexes. Let's go talk about some indexes. Net trade is looking pretty good. We had been seeing some heat in the material markets that's starting to subside. I actually expect this to turn around in the next couple of days. We're still seeing things are still weaker than I would like to be, than I'd really like to see in the ship markets. We're still not seeing the sort of people flying and losing ships at a rate that I think is healthy. I still think we're pretty anemic as far as ship consumption goes. And RMT markets are, of course, strong with Plex going as high as they are. And ignore these down blips. I think that's just a factor of a code bug. Moving on to total destruction. Again, we're seeing the same trend we've been seeing the last couple of weeks, that value destroyed is going up, which means the stuff that's exploding is more valuable, but the counts really aren't moving. Again, I'm hoping the Bloody Harvest gets more people out there. Again, the resolution falls off. Again, code bug. So again, I'm sort of hoping that things turn around. The last of this is looking a little anemic. All right, moving on to minerals, my favorite section of the show because it takes up like half of it. Tritanium. Again, the scales are a little washed out here. Volumes are staying a little bit low as ahead of the changes. We can see that demand has really fallen, but the supply is staying relatively steady. We're staying steady at 6.2, and though I had a negative outlook for Tritanium with alphas, since they cannot multi-box, means that the prices should the supplies of Tritanium should be relatively stable. Now, talking about the low ends gets a little bit weird in that I still expect a lot more nullsec ore to be mined, and there's still going to be a lot of meters cubed of like ABC coming out of nullsec, but it's really hard to get that Tritanium back to, it's really heavy to get that Tritanium back to market. And the value per meter cubed is just not high enough to really justify, even compressed, moving that stuff around more than you really have to. So I don't expect a lot of extra Titanium coming from nullsec. That supply bump might be a good 20% kick in the pants that might drop us back down to 6 even, but I don't think we're going to see much more than that. Pyrite, again, staying relatively stable. A lot of the action seems to be over, but we're staying in the 9.0, 9.2 range. Again, we're seeing the volumes. The volumes tell the whole story. Things are a little bit weak, but I think that's getting masked by just how little ship demand there is right now, how little activity there is in the lower markets at the moment. Mexilon has been our darling for speculating, and as we head towards the engineering platforms, it continues to pay dividends. We've seen the volumes really peter out. We're staying at about 500 million units on the market. The price is up at 70. If you bought in at the sub 65, like I told you to a few weeks ago, this would be a great chance to cash out, count your money, and tell everybody just how smart you are. It could probably hit 75, maybe 80, right around the launch. But again, this is kind of, the longer you sit on it, the more likely people get wise to what's going on. And I'm the sort of guy who will tell you to take the money and run. And this is my take the money and run call here. So do it. Isogen is showing a little bit of weakness as we head down to 84. If we zoom in, the volumes aren't particularly high. It just looks like demand has sort of shrunk for the time being. So I expect this to come back up to 90, probably sometime after Ascension with all of the new T1 demand. This would be not a terrible buy, especially if you're playing these buy order prices in the sub 80 range. So I think we're going to see this come back up to 90. I don't know. I know I've said before that I think Isogen's steady state is 100, but 100 I still think is months away. That's like the end of spring away, so I wouldn't be holding on for that particular darling. But 90 by Ascension I think is a decent target, and if you can play some of this spread, I think the width of that spread is worth messing with. Noxium is another weird one. It's a hard one for me to predict specifically. Things are staying, again, relatively stable at 440. We're seeing a little bit of growth over the last week or so. We can see the supplies really cranked up after the mining dev blog, but they're cranking back down as it looks like somebody was just getting rid of a bunch of stock. If you jumped on this right now, like sometime in the next 4 hours, this might actually be a decent buy at sub 450 with a target of something like 475. That's not a ton of margin. It'd be hard to make your taxes back, but it wouldn't be a terrible play. And if we really do crawl below the 100 million mark here and maybe head towards the 75 million units on the market, I think getting north of 475 is possible. It's just difficult. And again, I would be out of this by Ascension because I think Ascension is going to screw this up. Zydrene is the one I have been gloating over because the prices have been way too high for way too long. Looks like the fall has stemmed at 1,000 a unit, which is always poetic. We saw a big glut of supply come to market, but it has been slowly and surely getting chewed through, and the prices have responded accordingly. I still think there's room to fall here, but that probably won't happen until post-ascension. And again, if you're in Zydrain, you really should just be out of it. Things are going to get much, much worse before they get better. I don't even know where to put the floor on this. It's probably 800, but we'll see when we get there. Next is Megasite, just touching 1100. It's interesting to see the volume is higher than I actually expected. This is probably again due to people really trying to cash out their stocks. Again, I still think that this particular climb is suspect. That sure looks like somebody leaking information, but I seem to be the only person who thinks that. Again, we saw the huge lump in supply come through. Things have petered out. We're seeing the supplies track down to the 75 million mark. Again, this is another one that I think is going to get worse. I kind of have a target of a little under 1K personally, but that won't happen until after Ascension, when all the Rorquals are out there completely destroying the price of Megasite. So we will see where this goes. Again, if you're holding Megasite, get out of it. It's going to get worse, and you're going to hate yourself if you don't sell it. Don't sell it soon. And then last is Morphite, and that's the wrong graph. Morphite supplies are still looking pretty strong. This huge dip in price, though, is a buy if I've ever seen one. So I've explained this the last few weeks. I'll explain it again. Actually, I will take 1 second. Okay, not muted anymore. Not hacking in your guys' ear holes. So the play I like to do on Morphite personally is look for any price sub 10K and wait for it to come back to 10K. Now that we're at 8.8, this is a excellent chance to jump in as we head back towards to 9.5, 9.6. Again, to get there, I don't know when you'll be able to sell. So whatever money you pump into this, you're going to have to sit on it for a while. But as soon as T2 demand comes back, as soon as people need interceptors and bombers specifically, I think this will come roaring back to over 9.5. It might get worse. This may not be exactly the bottom of the trough, but in this sub 9,000 price point, I think that Morphite is the biggest damn buy. I can really, the biggest buy rating I can go stamp on this thing. So, yeah, we will leave that at that. Moving on to fuel. I am terrible at transitions tonight. Fuel markets are staying relatively boring. We're still seeing a lot of volatility in the hydrogen markets. We're still seeing nitrogen stay strong, and I don't know why it stays strong. I must be the only person who has the opinion that nitrogen's going down as soon as the engineering platforms come up. I still think that once the new industrial arrays come up, all of the other isotopes are going to come up slightly, and nitrogen is going to come down significantly as they get closer and closer to parity. The only thing really holding up the demand for nitrogen is the Rhea. And I think that anyone running a industrial POS is going to be licking their chops at even a small or a medium platform. So I think that they're going to come out of their Caldari towers, and they're going to get rid of that. They're going to use up that Caldari ice, and they're going to go back down to the cheapest ice they can get their hands on. And because you can use any of them in the platforms that you have to. So I expect nitrogen demand to go way down. But according to this map, I'm the only one who thinks so. So take it with a grain of salt, I guess. Looking at blocks, we're seeing Galente blocks go completely insane. This is way overpriced, but by the time you guys can get to market, it will probably have corrected itself. Amar fuel blocks look a little bit anemic at the sub 22K mark. I kind of expect those to come a little bit back up. Again, if you're running a Citadel and you need to fuel it, you're going to go grab the cheapest blocks you can or the easiest blocks you can. Heavy water, again, my scales are completely washed out thanks to the booster charges. Prices are still staying relatively low. Supplies have been coming to meet the market, though. So any previous thing I had said about prices going up to over 250, yeah, I take them back. I was wrong. I'm sorry if you did that. Sell, get out of it. Or hold until Ascension and get out of it. I don't think you're going to get your money back. And then strontium supplies are still staying pretty strong. This says to me that there's nobody really fighting over space, which makes me sad. I like Great Big Wars. At sub 8K, I think this is worth stockpiling if you need strontium, but I don't think this is a buy if you're speculating on strontium because I don't know when the prices are going to go back up again. Moving on to our outliers, where we look for weird things in the market. We start where we always do with advanced materials. Things are looking really, really stable, like oddly stable. I haven't seen it like this in a very long time. The only blip of real note here is the ferrogel is spiked up but is coming down, and fulleриdes are just continuing their sag back from their high. The rest of this looks completely normal and completely flat to my eyes, which is weird. It's strange. This isn't what usually happens. If we zoom in on a couple of the R32s, things get, actually, I think neodymium is a 64, but we're seeing neodymium supplies start to rise and the prices coming down. Sub 15K, I think, is a decent buy if you're willing to speculate. But again, these things can be a little bit weird. But thankfully, the speculation cycles are about 2 to 3 weeks. Supplies over 5 million is a little bit weird. I kind of expected at the sub 4 million mark. But again, without Tech 2 ships consuming a lot of stuff, without Tech 2 capitals eating up that market, we may just be seeing an oversupply rather than a changing of the guard like we saw back in the spring. Technetium's another interesting one doing the opposite thing. This one's an R32 where the bottom really fell out of supply. I don't know if somebody just bought out the market or what's going on here, but we're seeing about half the supply we used to see. And the prices are responding. The price is coming back down again. So if you were bought into Technetium, this would be a great chance still to sell. And it does have the odds of overcorrecting under 3.5, but this one's going to be a weird one to watch the next couple of weeks. Moving on to PI. So if you're a PI producer, life is good. Keep doing what you're doing. Get ready to sell an Ascension. You're going to make your money just fine. Don't get too panicked about broadcast nodes. Stay the course. To all of you speculators, again, if you want to be speculating ahead of the patch, you want to be watching the volatility. So right now, this week, broadcast nodes are absolutely a buy. Wetware mainframes are absolutely a buy. The self-harmonizing power cores could be a buy this weekend if you kept a close eye on it. And sterile conduits, again, is one that could go both ways. I still think that there is some growth in this market, but you're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to be cunning, and you're going to have to just play that volatility really closely. There are a lot of other people who are thinking this is going to be a complete revamp of the plays we saw in Citadel, and I disagree because I think Citadel represents two things happening together that made it a lot stronger than this would be. One is that the PI supply was about half what it needed to be, actually less depending on how far back you go. And then two, that Citadels require just a lot more material to produce than the new engineering platforms. I still expect demand to be hot, but I'm basically putting the bar at half of what Citadel ran. I still think we're going to get caught with a bunch of people with their pants down for wanting to build these things in the week after the release. But I don't think that we're going to see the wild swings we saw with Citadel. So if you're prudent, if you're careful, if you're using Eve Mogul to track your buys and sells, I think that you could stand to make a good chunk of change. You just have to be active and you have to be watching it. Another piece of news that broke right before I tried to pull my stupid graphs is that the drone requirements for the new mining drones came out. And oh man, the savvy traders jumped on this as hard as they possibly could and bought out the entire market of elite drone AIs. So the price is going completely nuts, and the scales on here are completely washed out. If you are sitting on elite drone AIs, it is time to go sell. If you think you're going to buy in, give up. Unless you're going to go play the arbitrage out on the fringes and try to pick up any of these cheap ones that nobody's that nobody knows what the real price of it is yet. Yeah, elite drone AIs completely nuts. Sorry about that. Things are going to be crazy. I don't know where this market's exactly going to land. I think that 4 million is way too high. We don't really usually see a doubling like that actually stick. So be careful. Don't go nuts buying these things out, but sell them to the highest bidder you can find and take their money. Just don't give up yours. I would be aiming still to get these things for 2 million if I were speculating. And even there, I have a hard time thinking that I would get more than 2.5 million out of it. Moving around to ships, we're seeing the Proteus price drop through the floor. It's still a very popular ship, still losing a lot of these things out on the frontiers. But supplies are just through the roof. If you were looking to buy up a Proteus, now is the time to do it. I'm not tuned in enough to the meta to tell you why all of these Proteuses are coming to market. So this might be a terrible piece of advice, but I have a soft spot for the Proteus. You can use it as a heavy, as a heavy point platform that for much comedy, and that's my personal favorite way to use it. Is a big Ashimu? No, Ashimu's a command ship. Geez, I can't even name the ships anymore. I need to give up. So Proteuses are a great chance to buy in. If you're producing Proteuses, I'm sorry. I don't know where the bottom is. Sub 160 doesn't look like we can go much below 160, but the supplies are just so freaking hot. Moving on to the Rattlesnake. If you've been buying into this, so this one's an opportunity to go get the I'm Super Genius award, and tell all your friends you made your billions of ISK on a savvy move. With the Rattlesnake volumes tracking down, this is a excellent point to right this second buy in a couple of Rattlesnakes. Again, I don't know how high we're going to go. Going above 420, I think is optimistic, but we're down at the bottom of this trough. The volumes are tracking down. This is as solid a signal as I'm ever going to give you guys, for a thing to buy right now. Well, that and the more fight. So this is a buy in my book. You'd want to be in on a buy order, out at over 400. 420 is your goal. I don't know if you'll hit it, but supplies are dropping. Another one, this one actually took me a little bit by surprise, is the Gila. We've been seeing the supplies drop out, and this is I want to say this is due to the Alliance tournament. People buying out, messing with the guys who needed to refit their comps. But I didn't get a chance to tune into the Alliance tournament this year. So, man, I was too busy. I'm so sorry. I usually love the Alliance tournament, and I just completely missed it this year. The prices should be coming down. So if you were bought into Gila's, count your money. This is a great price. I think this is going to come crashing down back to 240 over the weekend. Moving on to items. I thought this was more interesting than it is, so we're not going to talk about it. Mid-grade Snake Omegas. I brought this up either last week or 2 weeks ago, that the prices have been high and then crashing and then high and then crashing. I don't know what's causing this. Again, this could be Alliance Tournament where they're switching out, they're burning their snake clones, which seems stupid, but that pattern is extremely strange. That we saw the price hit quite a high, drop down, and doing this bouncing. We usually, I wouldn't expect to see a third one of these bounces. We usually don't even see two. So this is strange. It's a great place to speculate if you want to play the volatility game. But I mean, you got to be buying sub 350 million. So yeah, or 35 million. My scales are washed out. Moving on to prediction review, and I need to go look at a tweet because this wasn't my idea, and I want to give them credit. Come on, where is it? There it is. All right. So small ancillary armor repairers. The volumes have been tracking up. Again, I think this is due to the Bloody Harvest has more people doing exploration, which means more of these things are getting supplied, which means that I think the price is going to tank down. I'm interested to see if this 5 million floor actually holds. And I would be watching the buy orders like a hawk this weekend and into the next weekend. And I got to give credit to Sebastian Thielman for asking about this because I can usually do onesie twosie pulls for items. This one was actually pretty interesting, just in the how many units are coming to market. We're not crazy oversupplied. Just enough to be interesting. Like there's a lot more coming to market, or there's less getting bought. It's a little bit weird. And then, as the chat has been trolling me for the entire show, I was wrong about Quaff Zero being supplied in the event, but the price is tracked down to sub 7 million, and that is a buy in my book as we see a big chunk of these things come to market. I don't know if this is somebody liquidating stock or exactly what's going on. So I don't expect this blip to stay there, but getting in at sub 7 million and aiming for an 8 million sellout, I think is free money in my opinion. So, thank you, chat, for giving me crap the entire show. I appreciate it. I actually do. But you're wrong, and I'm only accidentally correct, which is the most important kind of correct. Right after technically correct. So, last but certainly not least, let's go through the violence report. Again, we're not seeing a whole bunch of interesting things here. Again, the Svipul is tracking slightly down, but still popular. The Vexor Navy issue remains popular. Again, a favorite ship of mine, and if you're in Galente Faction Warfare, you should be printing these things off for free money. And but the rest of the supplies look relatively stable. The interesting piece to note is we don't see any capitals in this list. No carriers, we usually see a Thanatos in here or an Archon in here because the filter is done by value destroyed. So that's a little bit interesting in my opinion, but not that interesting. And we're still seeing the Proteus remain popular, just oversupplied. Looking at important systems, again, Tama is always Tama, but Hula is a new entry on the list this week in that awful teal color. again, things are staying relatively stable week to week. Not a whole bunch of interesting stuff going on. And Active Regions Tribute is the interesting addition this week from the Citadel Pureblind in Providence. Oh, and Providence usually isn't on this list, but it has been hot the last couple of weeks. So if you're looking for fights, maybe go out to Providence. With that, I'm going to go ahead and end the show here. I want to thank everybody who tuned in live. You can watch the show every Friday night, 0300 Eve time. That's Thursday night U.S. time. The time will change in November. I'm not sure exactly to what yet. Keep everybody posted. If you want to follow this show, please like and subscribe. Of course, you can catch us at Eve Prosper on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and our blog. If you are at all interested in Python development, I've been writing more Python dev blogs, and we will have all of the great graphs and behind the scenes analysis there. If you want to support the show, the very best way to do so is through our Patreon at patreon.com/EveProsper. Even $1 means a huge amount to us. It keeps the lights on. It keeps us ad-free. It keeps this going week over week over week. And I can't thank our patrons enough. If you can't support us monetarily, I completely understand. That is absolutely okay. Be sure to like and subscribe. And as homework, if you can't support us, reach out to your favorite other streams and make sure to thank them. If you can pitch a few ISK into their wallets, I am sure they would appreciate it. I've been your host, Lockefox. This has been the Eve Prosper Market Show, and we will be back next week, right before Eve Vegas, with all of the hype and speculation ahead of dev announcements and all of that goodness. Fly safe. We'll be back next week. Holy crap. I am so bad at this. Okay, Caleb, I am sorry. I have not been checking out the graphs. I mean, I know that the scales get screwed up, but I make my own graphs. So, like, here's the dark secret of me that I haven't legitimately logged into Eve in weeks, months, since Citadel. Because new job does not have much time left over for me, so it's been hard to get the sort of time that Eve demands. And I have a wild hair up my butt to go write more of the Python stuff that should help make the show better. We are laying out a lot of new work. Like, I cannot really stress how much Caleb, I sent you a Discord link. I'm not sharing it with everybody yet, but I sent you, get one from Rivra. She has one. Actually, I don't know if she can. Because I don't know if I screwed up the permissions. Hold on. Compelling radio. There you go. No, don't wake Rivra. She'll punch me through the entire internet. So don't do that. So yeah, I mean, cat out of the bag. I'm starting up a Discord, but it's because I have some plans for Eve Prosper into the new year. I think you guys will enjoy it. I think this is going to be interesting, but spoiler, it's going to be a lot less Eve, because I cannot commit the kind of time required to be the meta professional you guys come to see me for, and I can't commit the time to be playing the game the way I really should be, but I'm doing a whole lot of extra work, and I'm doing all this wonderful code stuff, and I'm trying to make it so you guys can get your hands on my data and do some of this work yourself. So I think you guys will enjoy the content, and if you don't, I'm sorry. But I have some plans. I've been trying to get my hooks and a couple other friends to try to expand the content here. And yeah. So when the Discord is ready, when the new projects are ready, there will be a dev blog, there will be invites, there will be everything. But until then, come over to the Tweet Fleet Slack. I'm still trying to do my job the way I'm supposed to. Yeah, but like I said, we're at about 2 years runtime here. It's time to do more. But like, if you've been following me on Twitter, Caleb is going to want to have to talk. Hold on. Let me see if I can actually get this mapped out the right holes. That one. Default. That one. Okay. Apply. Okay. You want to try and talk? I don't know if you're coming out of the thing.
Well, you're at least coming in quite nicely.
Here, let's turn you up to there. Everybody should be able to hear you now. Caleb Aranya, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Host of the SCC Lounge channel, both in-game and out, and regular fixture over at Talking in Stations, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, semi-regular now that they've moved the time slot.
Ah. Oh, man, I don't even want to talk about Talking in Stations, because Ash is on my shit list.
Well, there's a lot of stuff to talk about that might not actually have a lot to do with Talking in Stations. Of course, this weekend, people have to actually watch it. It's going to be Aerith, and Reaver is going to be there as well, so I am expecting something very interesting from a market perspective.
Yeah, I'm definitely... I should be able to tune in. So that's Friday. I'll be able to tune in. I won't be able to be there.
I think the new slot has actually had a nice little kickoff and success, except for, of course, the thing that you mentioned that caused a little bit of a ruckus and a lot of drama. But it's fun and interesting.
Oh my god. I already talked about it all day in my private channels with other friends about. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, in my personal opinion, there's so much fallout from the casino wars, right? And that whole bomb was basically what threw me out of vacation. I was enjoying myself grinding in a Korean MMO, Black Desert Online, only just peeking at Eve from time to time, and then CCP decided to drop that, and it was like, okay, stuff's happening. I need to come back.
I mean, I think it's unfair to vilify. Well, okay, Bobmon gets a ration of shit, but he earned his ration of shit. But to like throw Naiden under the bus and to throw the Crossing Zebras crew under the bus, I think is premature. And I mean, the whole goon smug thing. Goons are always smug. I don't know how that's news. It's.
Yeah, but really they're not, right? They haven't really been, except for, of course, if you are taking your news from the Meta Show, which is basically some sort of, I don't know, Glenn Beck variant where he's just going crazy and running victory laps and going smug and triggers everyone. That's really not news, right? It's a propaganda show. It's nothing else.
Yeah, and I've got nothing against propaganda shows, and I'm all for the the meta makes the game turn around, but like I've got no beef with Naiden and his crew, and I think Crossing Zebras has been doing better work in the last while than my rants previously may have said. And I actually feel for the content aggregation is that like, man, welcome to 21st century journalism, because funding this shit is not easy, and I hope they can find a thing.
And that's where everyone has been right. It's not easy. It's just that if you look at it from a more objective point of view, both the streamers, the writers, everyone that's been getting this money has basically been shivved, right? It's bullshit payment, and the benefits of the casinos have been tremendous compared to what they've been paying out.
Yeah, and it sucks to see it go. But like, I don't know if you've been following Valve's particular fight with the Washington State Gaming Commission.
No, I missed all that, the whole narrative, and sadly so. I should really read up on it, but there's just been so much going on for the last like 2 weeks. It's been crazy on my side of things.
Yeah, like I still haven't gone through the new structures, because I keep wanting them to show up on CC so I can actually mess with them.
Yeah, I've been having talks with Uziel, and Reaver has been trying to do the forensic job on the whole market graph stuff, and it's crazy because no one really knows, and CCP was kind of denying or brushing it aside initially, and she kept just going, look at this, and finding more and more examples, and apparently it's a client-side thing that the data doesn't get to the client.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that will make my new service way more valuable, because I'm trying to make it so you guys can run the same graphs I can, and you won't need the in-game client. You can use mine. Well, see, but the rigs. So Senka is saying that the new structures are on CC, but the rigs are not, and the rigs are what I need to play with. So yeah.
And the rigs were actually what Wizard and some of the other industrialists were really, really angry about, because in everything else, CCP seems to be nice and trying to, I don't know, level out a little bit of the complexity. But with the new rigs, it just goes bonkers. It's going to be impossible to figure out exactly how to optimize and compete.
Well, and my frustration actually even starts at the dev blog, because like that thing was a stonewall of a dev blog that was not easy to digest. And coming from an industrial background myself, like, this is my favorite piece of the game, but what is the thing I always hear from friends? Man, that's so complicated. I don't know if I can figure it out. And it's like, but no, it's not that complicated. I mean, now that they've removed teams, it's not that bad. It's not that hard to figure out your fees. Tech 2 is still pretty difficult, but like that, you get what you pay for. And this new dev blog comes out like, hey, check out these sexy new structures. Let's tell you everything about them in the least digestible way possible. And I just want to wring Team 5-0's neck for that thing, because it was not well written, and it's hard for people to like. It's hard for even me, and I'm supposed to know this shit to digest it. How am I supposed to ask some random Joe Schmo, like, hey, are you excited to buy the things? And they're like, I don't know which ones to buy, man.
Yeah, and the fact that this whole new ecosystem that's going to arise around it, and I'm not even sure how it's going to work. So I think there's going to be a long period where a lot of the old industrialists are basically not touching anything, and a little bit like with the markets, that everyone was expecting that the citadels would not do anything to market and that they wouldn't really be useful, and then suddenly, slowly, everyone got on the boat and we got the tax evasion stuff. I think it's going to be like that with the whole new engineering stuff, but only if they've actually made it incentivized enough.
Yeah, I still think that if you're running more than one tower in your array, I think you're going to be your top 1%, and you're going to jump on this thing the second it's out to increase your margins. You're going to do what needs to be done because you're a math spreadsheet nerd and you got it figured out. But like, damn it, people are supposed to make this easier, and I'm going to have to cut it out.
And if you don't have an equivalent to the NPC nerf, that's the market shot, right? If there's not the same difference, I don't think that's going to be motivating enough, especially because you're basically forcing a huge investment, and unless you are publicly sharing it or you are using it in a very big group, I don't know if it's going to have enough of an advantage.
Yeah, and again, there's going to be the fistful of people who are like me, who are going to go do their due diligence. They're going to get their big operation up and running, and they're going to pay what needs to be paid, and make their money on the first couple of weeks. But like, I can't imagine a world where it takes 2 months for these things to actually come to full power, because I mean, you literally couldn't with Krios because they actually changed the mechanics. But like, it's being handled so poorly, and I'm really disappointed. And it didn't have to be this hard. And it's just there's like 100 little things that have just gone shitty. And I don't know if it's because the guys we have on CSM are not industrial. Like we only get to look at like Fuzzy Steve for our industrial guy, and
it's only Fuzzy Steve and Eric that really represents any of the stuff that we are doing.
And if that just never got around, if CCB didn't even ask them, because again, the dev blog does not fill me with a lot of hope that they really knew what the hell they were talking about. But yeah, I'm frustrated, and I'm also frustrated that again there's been 10 tons of news in 2 weeks, and I haven't been able to keep up because you can make the last 2 weeks. You can make the last 2 weeks a full-time job.
It has been crazy. Reaver did like, I don't know, 30 hours of forensics job on the graph stuff in total. It was bonkers.
I mean, the thing I really should go call is that I should go figure out how to send beers to Bam Stroker, because I would love to see their accounting book at EveBet, because the fact that that the sky was not falling for them, that they were prepared to do the cash outs, and we're sad to close, but we're not, everybody will make their money back, and nobody's going to get screwed, and we're the only casino that gets to stand up, is astounding to me. And like, just I got to know how they did it. Once they close the doors, I should go bug them.
And in general, the inside of institutions in Eve is quite an eye opener, right?
Yeah, maybe we can convince them to do a FanFest talk. One of the dudes there, because yeah, the fact that they didn't burn down for the closing is insane. So actually, one of the things that's been frustrating me about the closing is that everybody's wailing and gnashing about the casino's closing down, but EveBet is above board, and yes, EveBet is above board, and I love those guys. I've bet there before, and they don't sponsor me, but they're amazing. They people don't seem to understand just like how tenuous things are going to get legally in the next year or 2 years, and also how long it takes for EULA changes to actually make it up through the company. And it's like right now, even though I don't think Valve is actually going to get hit with liability, they're fighting their fight very strangely. And it's more that like they don't want to roll over for the commission, so that they don't want to have to be regulated by the commission. So they're trying to like weasel their way out of being like, no, don't even call us, because you don't even have jurisdiction here. Just don't worry about it, because the last thing we need is you up in our books, because screw you. But
yeah, it's just been fascinating to follow, because there are a lot of things being rolled out right now. I was just stumbling upon a few articles that pertain to actual real life money laundering, and that there's going to be new regulations in the whole EU, and that's going to hit, if not next year, then the year after. The legal documents have just been released recently, so I think there is a lot of reasons for CCP doing this. It's basically a trend that's happening worldwide on every game platform.
Well, yeah, and it's that. I mean, we're seeing a trend as governments catch up to like, it's not trying to get their hands around intangible assets like, well, that Bitcoin thing. They should be paying taxes on Bitcoins. It's money, right? Well, and then you start looking at like, well, MMO Gold, man, they're trading that for real money, or skins are getting traded for real money. Why aren't we getting our sales taxes on that shit? Why aren't we getting our gambling commission oversight on that? Like, the gears are finally starting to catch up to the reality of it. And as much as it would be abhorrent to be to the point where like your WoW Gold or your Eve ISK was counted as an actual tangible asset, because let's be honest here, if you haven't read the EULA, you rent everything in your hangar. It belongs to CCP. It's just on loan to you, as long as you keep paying.
It's going to be harder and harder to track, right? I am the biggest opponent to anything even resembling RMT, but it's going to be very, very difficult to track any of the gray zone stuff. Like, okay, now if you look at some organizational things like Goons, right, which is really big and has activities in many games, and the same would be the case for smaller games, right? How are you going to police if they are doing internal exchange rates? That's impossible, right? And then it's just a matter of siphoning it to, say, the gaming environment where it's more legal or easier to RMT.
Well, so yeah, I agree a little bit. I'm with Noisy Gamers analysis in the past that has highlighted the fact that like the actual, so as an art, if you want to sell ISK, if you're looking to turn your ISK into dollars or whatever, you have to compete with Plex, and that margin has been getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And as we close off the sort of whale ISK fountains, and mark my words, we're going to see one coming for bounties in the next 6 months. Watch by FanFest. I'm willing to put a shiny Plex on that particular bet.
That's the credit card warrioring, right? But I'm not so much thinking of credit card warrioring because that's influx of new wealth. I'm thinking more about different games and cross-game storage of wealth.
Oh, right? Well, I mean, yeah, I can see that as long as you're not trading dollars in the thing, like if you say I'll give you $1 billion ISK for so much WoW Gold, like, yeah, that's a much slipperier gray thing, and I have legitimately no idea of exactly how much of that there is. And honestly, gold for ISK and that sort of transition, I don't have a huge beef with, because we're still it's leveraging content for content, in my opinion.
I mean, I totally agree. It's a gray area that I almost would support. The problem is that that's going to open up a lot of holes for people that will game the system. Now, we're just coming out of the whole I want ISK stuff, and it's very clear that they did some very big brainy thinking about how to do their things, right? I'm not entirely privy to all the details, but the system was very complicated, and they did some very interesting tricks, right? I don't know how much has actually come up yet, but I know that Noisy was talking about some of it, some of the methods used, and it was quite organized.
Yeah, but like the point from a cartoonish high level, the point is more that if you're looking to wash ISK, like you don't really want WoW Gold. You don't really want whatever is in other games. You want dollars. Like, that's the whole point to be running something that complicated, is you want dollars out. and those gray markets might help you get to a more favorable dollar ratio, but you're still trying to get to dollars.
Yeah, I'm just saying that of course, we can't track any of these things because the data mining would be massive, right? But if we could see the flow that's going to happen in the future, I think there's going to be even more of the cross wealth flowing, where you see money and value going from one game to another, or rather, the person behind the accounts are going to swap around a lot like they swap their time around, right? So they're going to play like 3 months of World of Warcraft because there's just a new thing coming out. And then there's going to be someone speculating in converting ISK to WoW Gold exactly for the upcoming patches. And the same the other way around with, say, WoW Gold for ISK, right? So I think we're going to see some sort of cross-currency security issues coming up soon.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see all that stuff. But again, that's Noisy Gamer's thing, and I'd hate to step on his blog because he does it way better than I could.
It's just a trend, right? Because we are getting to a point where the valuation of virtual assets that we don't really own, according to any of the terms of service available out there, right? I think there's like 1 or 2 exceptions where they kind of try to acknowledge that the ownership is actually yours and you're allowed to take money out of the game. But they have to consider that it is stored wealth. Maybe it's not wealth like in the real world, but it is virtually stored wealth, and we value it in a specific way, right?
Yeah, it's true, and yeah, God, that gets so fucking complicated so fast. So I'm gonna have to end the show here soon. It's been one hell of a long day, and if you guys have any more questions feel free to drop them in chat for either Caleb or myself. Just wanted to give sort of a 5-minute warning before I pulled the plug.
Yes, and port to Discord, everyone. That's where I am hanging out these days, and all the voice comms are exploding, and there's always people around in chats and in voice. So very, very interesting times indeed.
Yeah, and there will be news about a Prosper Discord just later. It's coming up, but later. There will be blogs. Don't worry. I made a Discord bot. You can see it in the thing. So no more questions, really? Or is things lagging that bad? Has everybody just left and I'm talking to myself? No.
I'm still here. Actually, Bad Bobby is asking if you could drop in on the voice.
Who know?
Bad Bobby, do you remember the eBank stuff?
Oh God, it's ages ago. But
before that, Bad Bobby did the Titans for You scam.
Oh Jesus, that would be interesting. But again, I'm not giving out the Discord yet.
No, I can understand that. That's fine. I'm actually planning on having you're off air now, right?
We're not off air yet.
Well, okay. I was just going to tell you a little bit about some upcoming things that I was hoping that you would, be a part of in some way.
So Master Kazam is asking about orcas. Let me see if I've got them pulled. I do not. What? Come on. Seriously? Alright, you're going to have to give me a few moments.
I'm pretty sure that people are too late with the Orca and Raw investments. I don't think that they're going to make anything on that. I think it's already overshot.
Oh, the party's over, absolutely. If it's already up, like, we're done. But things could get cheaper after. Again, I don't know the mix specifically, but things could get cheaper after. Oops, 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 oops! Please don't pull. I want to get the bowhead on there too. Actually, I bet those are being driven by the Mexilon price mostly. So
Yeah, and on the other side of when they actually start having an effect, we are not really sure about how the numbers are balanced. Ozio was pointing out that there's a lot of problems with it. The potential yields of the new stuff and the cost of all the new stuff. No one's been able to crunch any meaningful numbers yet.
yeah, I still expect it to tank the low ends, but not tank the high ends. But the rest of the bands are a little bit weird, and I kind of think they're a wash. It's just that Mexilon has been a traditional store for has been that middle piece that people forget about. It's like Technetium back in the day, is that it's actually more constrained than people give it credit for, and it's so with the new structures coming out, if you wanted to build them, uh, you're going to lose you're going to first worry about getting enough PI to build them, and then you're going to worry about getting enough Mexilon to build them. The rest of it's pretty easy.
And we're still waiting to see how much more fuzzy industry is going to be rolled out, right?
What do you mean fuzzy industry?
The stuff with the faction,
Like the
where
faction
you,
capitals, or
where you can make the faction stuff from raw materials.
oh, see, there's a piece of news again. I am just not tuned into the news the way I should be.
Well, it's only on the capital modules right now, but he said that he would actually like to roll it out on more items. So I think it's very likely that there's going to be a strain put on some of the stuff, the metas and the faction, right? So you can build metas and faction.
I really wish Fozzie would stop touching industry.
Yep.
He,
I would hope that they would dedicate someone that's a little bit more knowledgeable about ecosystems and economy.
because man, I have some opinions. His ever since the Amber rebalance, I just want to take his fucking keys away.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I like some of the things that Fuzzy do. He's really, really good at stuff that he used to do in game, right? So stuff like ship balancing and tournament stuff and all that. But when it comes to the ecosystem, I think he should be a little bit more hands-on off and leave it to someone a little bit more capable.
Yeah, I did this rant a few weeks ago when the mining booster stuff was announced. Is that like what was it, a year and a half ago? He made this big stink about rebalancing ore so that the ISK per hour mining in nullsec was worth it. Like the ISK per hour curve per security was more to his liking, and we saw basically a 2x in demand automatically on every blueprint that used Mexilon, no, Megasite and Zydrine, and we saw yields get tinkered with so that the high ends were actually high. And I mean, that in and of itself is not a terrible change. I didn't love it at the time because it was a little bit of a meat cleaver answer, but like it washed out. It was fine. Then he comes through and he's like, "Well, Amber isn't on the curve the way we want to," and proceeds to completely tank Isogen. And we've seen Isogen supplies just go through the roof, and prices have not responded to where they're supposed to be, and that market has just been trashed by this. And then
yeah, he's trying to use the same I don't know what you would call that, cookie cutter or flavor of the month like rotational scheme on raw materials and the ecosystem as is used on the ships. And I don't think that's really optimal. I think what we really need is that we let it run and get to the point where we get these balances and overshoots exactly like in natural ecosystems. So people are forced to shift around, and you can't just fit it to like one new hole in the composition or in the mineral basket, right? That it's not a good model to just do that patty cake rotational thing.
Yeah, and I mean my CCP Lockefox thing has been for a while the idea that I want to go give somebody like Quant the keys to turn the supply chain, the supply lines up and down with the actual player content and help, make spaces that are too lived in barren and that whole like make it a far more dynamic supply stream, because it would make my show far more interesting if like uh, the respawn rate of tritanium rocks got tweaked back month after month until it ended up in shortage, in a way that did not require dev blogs or patch notes to explain that they were doing it. Feel the same way about.
There's a chance that the new AI stuff, right, the procedural generated designs that they're putting in, could actually be part of a very huge boost to the ecosystem. Because if these entities are mining and actually draining resources, then the old respawn system might actually be changed into something entirely different. So we actually, as players, if we want to have access to the raw materials, we need to clear the systems and descale the activity of NPCs. And on the other end, systems that are not being used by players would end up being totally dominated by NPCs, and they would basically be almost draining the system at a set rate, right?
Yeah, and like I want the same thing for moon materials. I want to see anything that is a raw material have, well, except for rigs, because I like the way that rig supplies work. But like I really want to see those numbers become more dynamic, so that we see more shortages, we see more surpluses, we see more reason to fight over space, because, well, my space has gone fallow, and now I need to go punch you in the teeth to keep my people happy. Like, these are the things I want to see. And this mechanically, we're doing exactly the opposite, where, well, I'm going to totally boost mining yields in nullsec and tank the value because ISK per effort stays flat. And that work you did 2 years ago to make mining in nullsec worth it has been undone in one dev blog, because now the prices are back down into the sub 1K range. So well, so Masticazam, I think you're thinking Morphite, not Mexilon. And Morphite is weird. I'm actually, again, okay with Morphite the way it is, because I think that a large percentage of it is already getting mined and acquired. And so the only thing that changes is the T2 demand, which I'm okay with.
What's your prognosis if we're going to end up having a winter or Christmas war?
I seriously doubt it. Okay, so we're going to go back over here just to look at the Orca thing. Again, tracking that high tells, so this piece here says Mexilon. I don't know about this piece. It should actually be tracking back down with the high ends, but again, I don't have the margins handy here. It seems a little bit too high, but again, and then dev blog, that's what's happening here. So part of this is materials, part of this part's dev blog, and it's staying high because of dev blog. Okay, I'm following, but supplies mean that it's probably going to track down again. And then bowhead. Also, you can get a pink skin for it. I mean, who doesn't want a pink skin for their ship? I trucked my bowhead back into Jita just so I could spin it in a pink fitting.
So basically, Sinuria and what's his face, One Eve.
Honestly, I've been on Puncturus's case for years to get pink ships because it would have pissed off my old CEO. I want Hello Kitty My Little Pony ships, and just because it would piss the people off.
I just love the way that they hacked it in there with the breast cancer thing. It's just amazing. It's so neat. The cool little cute thing.
So yeah, like, get me a pink super and I'll buy a super. Like, it's the only reason I'd ever own a super, is to have it in pink. And like Rada red pink. Like, I want that terrible Rada skin, but a pink variant. That's what I want.
I would like that leopard skin.
The ones that Oosterman does, Caldari Prime Pony Club.
Exactly.
Oh my
they
god.
Are so corny.
Fucking love his stuff. He is amazing.
He's got the greatest sense of humor, and his artwork is amazing.
All right. So now that I actually was able to pull the stupid things, I'm going to go ahead and close up the show. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. Thank you, Caleb, for bombing our post show.
Another hot drop success.
Caleb, everywhere in the meta. Oh, I'd also take Holstein variants. That would be cool too. But that's because I have no taste. And yeah. So thank you, everybody who tuned in live. Thank you, everybody who subscribes. Thank you, everybody who, especially who supports our Patreon. It does keep us on the air. We will be back next week with everything you need to know about pre-Eve Vegas. And again, if you're going to be at Eve Vegas, come meet this idiot. Because I will be there, and I would love to hear about it, and I would love to hear if I made you a bunch of money or lost you a bunch of money. I would love to have beers with people. Yes. There'll be breakfast on Sunday. I'm not buying, but I'll be there.